Well, I'll go get gas in the car. So.
Yeah.
Sorry for my delay. My
No.
tire pressure light is on in my car, which doesn't make any sense because I don't have a flat tire.
Yeah.
And when I use the pressure gauge, it tells me that they're actually too high.
Wow.
I think it's because of the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I looked in the manual and it says that that's not supposed to come on if it's too high or if it's too low.
I had one fall out of
Like
Oh,
the
that's
sensor?
sensor
right.
fell out and just rolled around inside the tire once because like I went over a dirt road or something, and then I took it in. They're like, it's in your tire. Like we could spend this much to get it out and put a new one in, or you just know. And I'm like, I just know.
Yeah.
So
I hate those things.
yeah,
So
and
super annoying.
Just kick it.
we got it. Yeah, exactly.
All else fails, kick it.
Yeah.
Not too hard though.
We got quorum, so we might as well just get this part started.
Okay.
Are we rolling? All right. Welcome, everybody. Call this meeting of the Mesquite Valley Regional School Board to order and start our public session tonight at 6:05 and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First thing up, we have approval of minutes, public and non-public from 6:28. I'll entertain a motion there.
We make a motion that we approve the public and non-public minutes from June 28th.
I'll second.
All right. Looks like you guys had a pretty quiet-ish meeting.
Yep.
Nice. Any corrections or notes on those? And all, the three of you were there, so you, all right,
Yeah.
good, so I'll abstain now. All right, good, all right. All those in favor of the minutes as presented, public, non-public from 6:28, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and one abstention. So 3-1. Public comment. Hi, everybody. All right. Anyone else want to make public comment? Great. All right. Continuing business. I don't think we've ever had the superintendent's report first. It's like fast forward. 1 minute later, superintendent report.
So my report is once again just an update on hiring. As you know, WWR did a big story on the shortage of teachers and teaching staff, as well as paraprofessional staff and other support staff for schools. We're not in terrible shape at this time. I do feel like we do need, we've been very lucky in this district. We've really grown a lot of our own people. We've been able to promote some paraprofessionals to teaching positions because they have a degree, and so we will site-based certify them in, which is a little more work at the SAU level, but good for kids, right? These are quality people who have come to our district and have, worked for us as paras and want to advance themselves into the teaching profession. We're happy to support them there. I will say that since this report was written, we had a resignation that you will see for the art teacher. So we will be looking for an art teacher at IRS. So that's getting posted and that will head out. But between that, a reading specialist position and a special educator at IRS, we're in very good shape. I would say that we are in better shape than we were last year this time. Last year we still needed a science teacher here at the high school, and we struggled to fill that position. So we're in pretty good shape. We always start the year short paraprofessionals. Our principals are accustomed to coverage and being very, very creative and doing a lot with the people that are there. And we have great people that are willing to help out. Some coaching positions still open. But otherwise, like I said, we're in pretty good shape, I think, to start. That being said, I know there will be some shuffling because people are jumping district to district. So I would expect that we may lose, like the art teacher was traveling from Holderness, I believe, to come here. So you can't blame her for wanting a position closer to home. So I think as those positions open up, people may make choices to travel less, especially with the price of gas. So we may find that we have some more openings. But as of right now, we're doing pretty well.
Cool. Yeah, this looks like a much better list than last year.
Yeah.
What is SLA again? Iris?
Speech language assistant.
That's what I thought it was language assistant. Yeah.
Yeah, so we ended up hiring Heather Aubie in as a special educator.
Oh, cool.
So she was the SLA. So
Okay. So a lot of these are from people some of these are from people moving up.
that's correct.
That's awesome.
The reading specialist also, you will see, is going to be a transfer of a teacher from the Indian River School to Enfield Village School, back to Enfield Village School. So
All right.
Is it difficult to find part-time paras? More so
you know what, it really depends on the person. Leah has had a couple of parents with young children that have come on board wanting only the part-time position.
okay.
Yeah.
Right, they want to drop their kid off in the morning,
Right.
sort of be there for a little bit, maybe have an hour or two to go home and do something, and then take their kid off the bus. So, sometimes the full-time positions don't allow that leeway.
Right.
So it's sort of hit or miss as that goes. But we have collapsed a couple of positions, a
Right.
couple of part-time paras to make full-time paras. Still struggling to fill some of those.
Right. And do the paras ever overlap, like in the sense that I knew that if I had free periods, I would go work here? Do they do that? Where they have more than one coverage? Or do they just focus on one? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like pretty much our paras are booked unless say you're a one-on-one para and that child is out for the day. Then you're able to shuffle around and we do
But
double
they don't
up
generally
sometimes.
shuffle around during the day.
They typically don't get shuffled around.
Okay.
Those assignments are the assignments, so.
Part-time can be very handy for parents, and that might be an avenue I don't want to say advertise, put the word out
Right.
at elementary level, and it's nice to see our people moving their way up, and they know that they can do that with us,
Absolutely.
like that we are there to support them, because I think with hiring being this way, and will be for the foreseeable future in the Upper Valley, I think that's the best way is grow our own talent and get homegrown as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then you have dedication, and you also know it's not only good for kids, but then it's also good for you as an employer, because you know the person,
We know the
worked with
person,
them.
they've worked for us,
Yeah.
we know their quality
Yeah.
of work, and we also know that they live in district, right?
Yeah.
They're not gonna leave us to work somewhere closer to home.
Yeah.
We are closer to home.
Yeah.
So that's helpful.
Exactly. Cool. Any other questions for Amanda?
This isn't really a question, but kind of a commentary or related sort of note that we've talked about in the past is, thinking about in that grow your own kind of theory, what are the aspirations, trying to find out if there are people that are in district that are looking to become, perhaps in the future to become administrators, so that we can have a better sense of who might be looking for something like that and can make sure that they are finding the right kind of professional growth opportunities to prepare for something, so that if there's any shuffling on the administrative staff, that there's also some opportunities there.
This district seems to want to grow less administrators than other districts I've been in, and I don't know why, because it's a very glamorous job.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're always on the lookout, right? Like we look at people who want paras that want to move to teaching, or substitutes that want to move to paras positions, and then looking at some of the teaching staff, and sometimes they don't have any idea. They may want to try administration until they're approached.
Right.
I've approached multiple people, and we've hired 2 of them in as associate principals. So it's sort of like sometimes they just need that little vote of confidence of someone saying to them, "I really like the way you build relationships with kids. That's what makes a strong administrator." So it's like that. So I think people don't know what a great job it is until we sort of invite them into that profession. But yeah, we're always looking. Always looking.
Awesome. Cool. Anything else? All right then. Thank you, Amanda. All right. Business Administrator's report. Rob.
Good evening. Yeah, my written report. Big news not too long ago was we did a whole bunch of waivers for the seamless summer option again this year for summer meals at our programs. And shortly after I finished all those waivers, the Keeping Kids Fed Act went into
Like
went
2
into effect,
weeks,
so I had to do a
right?
whole new set of waivers. Thanks.
Yeah.
But it made it so that all schools, regardless of eligibility requirements, are allowed to do seamless summer option and have free meals for the community during the summer. The Keeping Kids Fed legislation also increases the reimbursement rate when we do have meal service in the fall. So there's been a little tweaks there. Unfortunately, universal free lunches has ended on June 30th, but we fully expected that, and we were planning on that anyway. And we're keeping forward progress on our summer projects. We have playground equipment going in at CES and EVS, and I see excavating equipment, and we're making moves, and hopefully that'll be a great addition to these play spaces at those schools. The financial reports are for your review, right about where they should be, at the ending balance. These are pretty close, but we're still doing some final adjustments to close out the fiscal year. But what you see is pretty near what the final number is going to be.
Cool.
There's a couple things that are not in my report because, of course, it's happened a week ago. We have some grants that we are applying for. The Department of Justice Stop School Violence Grant. We already had it in place and was already approved, but we're adding to it. We're adding an activity for $63,000, and that's for additional security equipment and supplies for like radios, hall mirrors, door magnets, those kind of things. Along those lines, we're also applying for the Security Action for Education grant through the Department of Ed. This is up to $100,000, and again, it's used for school and facility security. So we're going to upgrade like safety glass and service windows in some of our facilities, update security cameras and software, door locks. They wear out over time, and some of them could stand to be replaced. So we are requesting $99,200 for the Safe Security Action of Education, SAFE, so everybody calls it the SAFE grant. So that will be used to upgrade and maintain building security in the district. And there's one more little thing. Primex has sent us a service agreement, the cap agreement. So for the next 3 years, they will cap our rates that cannot go above 9%. For the next 3 years. We already had this agreement from 3 years ago, so it's just a renewal. Yeah. So I just need a board member signature. Okay. I don't know if you need to vote or how that works.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Probably.
So if you want to put that in new business, didn't make it in the agenda.
Yeah, so I'll entertain a motion to sign, to approve the Primex, what is it again? Is it agreement or is it
It's the Contribution Assurance Program, CAP. Okay. For property and liability.
All right, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the CAP program there, cash assurance program from Primex for a 3-year period.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify. Oh, I'm sorry. Any questions?
Well, so is that 9% per annum or over the 3-year contract?
It's per year, and that's the upper limit of any increases.
Per year.
So if it doesn't go to 9%, it can stay below. And it typically does, but this is just a safety that it won't exceed a 9% increase.
Helps budgeting.
Yeah, exactly.
You just plug in 9%, if it comes back lower, great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Cool. What has it been, just out of curiosity?
I'm sorry?
What has it been, if you know, roughly, over the last couple of years?
Well, when we start doing our budget discussions, Primex says, well, just count on 10%. Okay. So we put 10% in. And then last year it came out to like 1%, or 1.5%, I think. So, it's in our best interest just to make sure it doesn't exceed a certain cap.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah. One other comment about school lunches. Knowing that we've had, a long time now since people have had to pay for their kids' lunches and breakfasts and all that stuff. Are we planning any additional communication to parents and families about this, just to remind them, or can we be proactive with making sure that balances don't get too high, so that we don't get into some of the situations that in our past due balances haven't been as high as some of our other surrounding communities. I remember Claremont had a really big issue with this a few years ago. Yeah, like tens of thousands of dollars, and we definitely do not want that. So if there's a way that we can have more communication with parents to keep up with that sort of thing, whether it's, and I would be really happy to see that also be additional opportunities to remind them of filling out the application, and that the application for free and reduced lunch also helps us not only with the meals in schools, but also for other sorts of things, and can benefit them as a family if they qualify for that sort of stuff. So even if it was a combination of those things, you know, regularly over the first few months, and then again probably after maybe Christmas break or something, just to remind people so that it doesn't hit them harder than they had anticipated.
I think there's going to be additional focus on filling out the free and reduced applications.
Great.
Only because we've had free and reduced, we've had free lunches for 2
Right.
years, and I think people have gotten a little complacent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, they forgot what it's like to kind of have to do this. And again, you're right, not only for free lunches, but also for our Title I funding and all of those things. And the Department of Education is using older numbers because we didn't have accurate numbers in 2020, in 2021, because a lot of remote learning, so they didn't really have a handle on, you know, actual numbers. So they just recycled old data, and it's time to get fresh, accurate data this year.
Yeah.
So,
And we can also remind people that with cafe services, there's the online option to put money into an account or to see what the balance is. So again, just tools that families have available to them so that they can keep up to date for certain things. And reminders to kids, especially here at the high school, I think to a lesser extent at the middle school, but especially here at the high school, about the way that products are purchased and the a la carte versus the meal. Again, just thinking back to a few years ago and trying to avoid any of the issues that have come up in the past.
Honestly, I'm dreading that, right? There's nothing, it's been so refreshing and so wonderful to just be able to give kids food, right? Like, I can't lie to you about that. Like, it's just so nice that anyone could get a lunch, that needed a lunch, wanted a lunch, that the opportunity was there, right? There was no, you have to fill out this to get a free lunch, you have to make sure, you know, there's money, I don't have to chase you down as the principal if you're missing cash, if you're, you know, people don't walk away owing us $300 at the end of the year. So I really, it's pretty upsetting, right, that couldn't continue. I commend the state of Vermont for moving it on for another year. And, you know, honestly, maybe we'll do some research as to what it would look like if we just bought lunch for the kids that needed it.
I was curious at what it would look like to make it so lunch was $1 or something like that. Like make the price really low and offset it. But I would be curious, just for numbers for next time, like how much do kids buy, and like how much did it cost for lunch, for all those free lunches for a year? Like what would that be? And then like when the kids were buying, like, you know, 2018, 2019 school year, how much did they buy? Like how much product? And so what are we talking? Like obviously they buy a la carte, but like just a free hot lunch every day. What's that going to cost us? You know, just curiosity for budgeting.
Yeah, me too. Because it might be worthwhile for us to look at it that way. Just it was just so nice for 2 years to just give kids food.
Well, the other thing is the benefit for the kids in terms of there's none of that stigma, you know,
That's
nothing.
correct.
Right.
It's just food.
It's just food. Everybody gets it.
Cool.
And that's a good thing.
But we'd have to fight with the governments, to federal and state, so they would untie it from these other things with Title I, right?
Oh yeah, because people will be like, oh, it's free, I don't want to fill out the form.
Right. And they are looking at that because we've really put some questions to the Department of Ed over, did you use the old numbers? What numbers did you use to determine Title I? And really haven't gotten a clear answer, and they've been very non-committal about giving us, I want an answer that says, this school is this and this school is this. So far I have, this school is, so Canaan remains school-wide Title I per the Department of Ed, and IRS will remain targeted as long as they reach a 30% threshold. So not the answers, I wanted definitive answers. They will not tell us that they're using old numbers for free and reduced. They will not commit to that. Instead, they give us the big formula, which, yes, I understand there are multiple things that fall into place in order to determine Title I eligibility. But yes, pretty non-committal stuff from them. So we do know moving forward this year that Canaan will be school-wide, and hopefully those numbers and free and reduced numbers the applications will support that again for next year. So, that's where we are, and it's time that they look at it differently.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
time that they look at
Yeah.
how they determine Title I eligibility is not just by how many people fill out a free and reduced form.
Well, especially when you think about the impacts it has to state funding for education, district by district, because the costs borne are to the community, but the indicator that's used as a proxy for economic viability is the free and reduced lunch, which is just a subset of the population. It's
Yep.
it's not the right indicator.
Well, it's not like they don't have access to data.
That's correct.
Yeah.
you
The
know.
first year that we ran the free summer lunches, the seamless summer, Deb had to do quite a bit of work in just looking at, I mean, we only qualified because this was a food scarce region or whatever it was on the map. So I'm like,
Right.
how can you determine that? But for other things, I need to have free reduced lunch forms.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me.
But we're not anymore, so that's good. We
Yeah.
have groceries.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Oh, we actually still have a motion on the table for
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Primex. All right. Anything else about Primex? All right, let's finish that then. All right. All those in favor of approving the Primex cap rate as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions. All right.
So I would also ask, since Rob's talked about the SAFE grant process, that the board approve supplying, so each school can apply for that.
Mhm.
So approve the applying for that and approve expending the funds. Remember, we had something wonky come out with the CARES ESSER funds where you all had to approve us
That's right.
accepting and expending the funds.
Yeah, that's right.
So if we could just do that, since we've already brought it up, just while we're all here and kind of
So-
safe.
This is SACE?
Safe.
Safe with an
Safe.
F. Okay.
Yeah.
Safe.
All right. I'll entertain a motion for that
Make a motion that we,
then. Application and expenditure.
that we approve the application and expenditure for any and all school safety related grants that the administration deems appropriate.
Thank you.
Oh, Danielle.
It's a good blanket.
Yeah.
So you got a second.
All right,
yeah.
Kathleen, second. All right. Any discussion?
I have a question. On the SAFE grant, are there restrictions, like, my question would be specifically, could we use the grant money for hiring our own resource officer? Or does it have to be a list of like tangible things that they want?
I believe that they're approving only tangible, like, items, not
Okay.
personnel.
Mm.
Thanks.
Good question.
Yes.
That sounds about right. I think it's more, hardware, software.
Yeah,
Physical
usually
things.
it is that way.
And usually a grant, if you create a position or start paying a position with a grant, it's a financial cliff at the end when the grant ends.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you have to come up with a budget
Yeah.
for that position or eliminate it, so.
Yeah, but I'm thinking it's a change for us, so it would be a great way to segue in. If it worked and if it didn't work, then forget.
I believe that's how we got a school resource officer in the first place. It was with massive, like federal grants, that like federal government put out tons of grants like 20 years ago to get school resource officers. And I think it was like 3 years or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
And then,
Yeah.
if that sounds familiar. All right, anything else on the SAFE grants? All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And abstentions. Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. On that note, quickly, I don't know, I think you might have got it, but I know we all did from school board, New Hampshire School Board Association. They had released the report from Uvalde, and they pulled out a lot of really good information out of it, of just things the schools can do, like things that,
Oh, yeah.
so I just worth reading. I don't know if you got it as well.
We did, we also got a synopsis of it from Edelblue, and I also have a
Okay.
copy of the full report that
Okay.
I have not read through
Yeah.
yet. But I do want to get through the full report, just to see what happened.
Yeah. So I mean, I looking at the list that they have, I feel better about what we do, and we do good things. So I don't know, but you can always learn things. So.
Of course,
Absolutely.
I read that and I read the updates on the new policies, and there was the memo that came out about all these factors. And then there was the New Hampshire legislation around schools and communities cannot interfere with legislation at the
Yeah.
state level around bringing firearms and knives on
We
campus.
can't follow federal. That's what-
Yes, that would be
Yep.
HB 1178.
Yes.
That
Yep.
would
So like
be
I read those things like back to back, and I was like, these two things do
Yeah.
not
Well,
jive.
disconnect.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about that at some point in non-public or something.
Yeah.
So, under safety. All right. Let's see. Anything else from business administrator report? Anything else neat?
That's all I
Okay.
have for this.
All right. Figure go down to the next. All right. New business. Hear ye. We declare a local critical staff shortage. As seen in your packet there, for New Hampshire law, for New Hampshire Department of Ed, there's an RSA talking about critical staffing shortage, and the school board can declare a critical staffing shortage in specific teaching areas of the district. And this is one way to do it. So the state can say it, or a school board can say, look, we're having a real hard time finding a upper media specialist, early childhood educator, elementary ed, associate principal, and special education. So, I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
Make a motion that we approve the declaration of local critical staff shortages as presented.
And I'll second.
All right. Discussion on this.
So I'm kind of conflicted in this because superintendent's report is very encouraging, but I'm trying to get my head around how we can declare the shortage is critical when we seem to be coping.
So what I've done is hired people who are not necessarily certified in those positions yet. So what you declaring this shortage allows me to do is to site-base or Alt-4 certify them in. So they come to a 3-year plan, they demonstrate competencies in those 3 years, and then they receive a certification from the
So
state.
that's how it would feed into supporting the plan that you already have in
Exactly.
place.
Yes, Kathleen, thank you.
Thank you.
She's got a whole plan.
And so there are current, already Alt-4s in place as for primarily special ed.
So typically the Alt-4, like I would tell you that last year's critical shortage list contained just about every position you could imagine, which it probably should at this point, right?
Yeah.
This year, it had no administrators. I know it's difficult to find a superintendent. There were no administrators on it. There were no principalships. There were no associate principals. It's very, very slim. I mean, we don't know why. Even the Department of Ed doesn't fully understand why, because they rely on our reporting as districts. So maybe reporting didn't get in time from other districts. Maybe things looked better than it did. But pretty much you're looking at, the list is pretty short. It has, like special educators, right? Like special educators, art teachers are also on the Department of Ed's critical shortage list. We're finding, it's hard to find an associate principal. It is. I would say with the people that applied, I'm not sure we had, if we had 10 applications, maybe one person held the certification.
Wow.
And we're not bound to hire that person if they're not a good fit. I've spent quite a bit of time with the Department of Credentialing on this, saying, look, I might have had a person that was certified apply, but they're not a good fit here. I'm not going to hire someone just because they hold a certification. Never in my life have I seen elementary education on this list, and we need it there. And we are not the only school district in the state that can't find elementary education teachers. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So this is from Nancy Murphy? How does that
So
work?
Nancy Murphy is a contracted service that we're using. She does, right now we run about between 25 and 30 alternative certifications for staff. All of those run on my certification. So, yeah, we run pretty tight ship on those because, yes, if they do not get their certification after those 3 years, I do say, thank you very much, off you go now, because I need to work. You can't lose my cert. So Nancy does run this for us, so she'll be adding these people on. as well as the special educators that we are hiring for site-based.
So she's administering this program?
She does.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is not, that's pretty typical of what school districts do, and especially when you're running 25 to 30 of them.
That's a lot of
It's a
personnel.
lot of work. There's a lot of paperwork,
Yeah.
a lot of
It's a lot
follow-up,
of work.
Yeah.
a lot of work to do these. I have done my part. I will let you know. I've been sat on the oral boards for the credentialing department. They called me last minute a couple of weeks ago to go and attend one for an elementary ed person. So there are multiple pathways for certification. One is to get the job and then do the 3-year plan and take courses and get your cert, or however you may choose to do it. The other is to demonstrate through a portfolio process and then an oral board that you have maintained or completed certain competencies. So in order to do that, they need certified educators to be on those oral boards. So I said, I will do it. I feel like it's my duty to the profession to help these people who want to be certified. And I've been more than impressed. I've sat on 2 now, more than impressed with the candidates. They've really done a good job.
Do we have master teachers, like stipend into the system?
So we do
to
have
mentor?
mentors, yes, stipended.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've often had to, so for instance, family consumer science,
Mhm.
the woman that we hired for that position is an Alt-4, but that's on the critical shortage list for the Department of Ed. So what we have had to do is we don't have a mentor to help her through that, so
Yeah.
we've reached outside of district.
Right.
So you do see a lot of those. I know Cynthia was a mentor for a social worker in Molten Borough, for
Okay.
instance. So we are able to do that. Districts work together to have, mentors from, different certifications, if you will,
Right.
help out.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of declaring the local critical staffing shortage as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And abstain. All right, there you go.
thank you.
Good. Policy DFA, our annual review for investments, prices, things like invest good stuff, make your money work.
Make a
No.
motion
Don't
to
buy all Bitcoin.
approve for our annual review, policy DFA investment.
Second.
All right, thank you. This is our standard boilerplate.
Okay, yeah.
It is very, there has been no major changes to this from either the School Board Association or from any of our legal team or anything like that. Suggest that this is,
So I've been kind of sitting on my hands on this one
Yeah.
for a while because this one's been driving me nuts a little bit.
okay.
I almost would like to make a motion to send it to finance and facilities. I think it needs some tweaking. This is very boilerplate language.
Yeah.
And I'll just give you an example. On the second page, one thing is the investment funds will be left to the discretion of the finance committee without prior approval of the board. Well, that's confusing because it really isn't the finance. That makes it sound like finance and facilities when it's really, that means I think they're talking about the designee, the actual company doing the investment. So I feel like this could use a little tweaking. There's internal control should be reviewed periodically, which is kind of fuzzy, by the school board and an independent auditor. And we might be talking more about this in the Finance and Facilities Committee this year. And it might be a good year to, revisit that when we're having more of those conversations kind of thing. But this one's always just kind of annoyed me. So,
Fair.
and I don't get the purpose of just
Yeah.
putting it out here every year either, but,
Well,
so anyways, it's fine, it's very standard language, I get that.
I hear you hope, and we don't have a lot of policies, I will say, we don't have a lot of policy work coming up, so it would be fine, I think, to send this to finance and
Yeah, I mean,
facilities for
it's
some review.
just, it could be just a little bit, or it could be,
Yeah.
I don't think it's.
What I'd like to do though is just make sure we're in compliance, and if y'all would approve it
So
tonight.
this is,
That's what I was gonna
an
say.
annual has to be approved.
Have to,
Yeah.
this is a have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you all would just mark it reviewed for this year, for,
Yeah.
for compliance
Yeah.
reasons, and
And
then we
then
will
we
go
can-
through and look
Yeah,
at
it
it,
just
absolutely.
needs a little pull
Yeah.
apart.
Sure,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
sounds
Exactly.
like fun.
Yeah.
Send it off to finance facilities. So yeah, we'll approve it for the year and then send it off to finance facilities. And if you come back with it in a couple months, we'll approve it then.
Sure.
So cool. All right, all those in favor of, any further comment, any further questions?
I have a question. Isn't there a difference between reviewing and approving?
So it needs, yes, you're correct, so it
Yeah.
needs to be sent just for review so that we check that box.
Oh, so
But
we don't
then
need
what
to.
we'll do is, do
Adopt
first
new-
reading, second reading as we
Right.
make changes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we're just reviewing this, I'm sorry.
Okay,
So we don't have to vote on it.
good.
Right. We just review it, make sure that we looked at it,
Yes.
and then we'll redo it, and then we'll re-adopt it.
Yep.
So, because this has been on the books for 13 years now, so,
Yeah, it just,
yeah,
Okay, well, I will rescind my motion.
fine. All right, cool. All right, so we have reviewed that for the year, and that's good, and that's gonna go to finance facilities. Awesome. All right, back to school staff lunch for 8/23. I will entertain a motion. This is our typical lunch, welcoming the staff back.
Got
before
it,
the kids
first day,
come. First day back.
23rd, I believe.
All right.
Make a motion that we approve or the paying for the back to school staff lunch.
Second.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Any comments, questions?
just out of curiosity, do you know our total staff numbers? Or I forget.
Total staff that we
Please.
usually, I think we run about 200-ish, give or take.
200-ish?
Yeah. All right. And that's provided by Cafe Services, right?
Yeah.
You know? Okay. All right. All those in favor of approving back to school staff lunch for 8/23, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right. Now, the meat of the meeting, bus routes. So I'm very thankful that Butler could provide them for the last meeting in July. Now I can. So we'll do that again next year. So, any questions, comments, concerns? They do not have drivers filled into them yet.
They do not, and I would like
Yeah.
to, so I want to start the conversation, because this is more time where we'll need to train parents.
Mm-hmm.
The first two routes that you see are M1 and M2, and I'd like you to just note that they say EBS under both of those.
Okay.
The next one, M3, M4, say high school IRS, okay? The next two that you have, M5, M6, M7, say CES.
Nice. Yeah.
Routes M8, M9, and M10 say high school, and M11 are all high school and IRS.
Wow.
So there has been quite a bit of work by Butlers to go through and to dedicate buses as either elementary or middle high school.
I think that was one of my questions. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Great.
Very.
Yeah.
So there won't be high school kids on those other routes?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So we will run, I think, is it 6 buses out of the high school, middle school?
Yep.
Okay.
And we will run 3 or 4 buses out of Canaan. How many did I count? I don't know. 3.
Yeah.
So 3 out of Canaan
Okay.
and 2 out of Enfield.
That's great.
That's
We-
awesome.
We will also still run from the high school and the middle school a bus dedicated to taking high school, middle school kids that go to the Canaan Elementary School.
Okay.
And to the Enfield Village School. So that like crosstown bus or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
we will still provide that. But all of those kids will get on one bus. Last year they could pick whatever bus they felt like
Yeah.
riding that was going to Canaan Elementary.
Right.
This year it'll be one bus. It
So-
allows for many things to happen, right? Safety, absolutely. And it also allows for us to get some of our elementary school kids dismissed earlier, right? Because now the buses, they have to wait for one of their buses to come from the high school, middle school, but one of the buses will already be there,
Mhm.
right? At 3 o'clock.
Get 'em out.
You can load
Yeah.
kids and they can go. So I think this is going to make a tremendous difference
Mhm.
to our population. Could there potentially be some issues? Absolutely. One of those issues that we're anticipating, because we've got such large distances to cover, is that parents may be asked that their kids walk a little bit farther, right? We may not have as much door-to-door service as parents have become accustomed to.
Yeah.
Right? That's just a simple fact. by law, up to grade 5, and in grade 5, we can ask kids to walk a mile. After that, we can ask for 2 miles. I don't believe any of these routes ask for 2 miles, but they do ask for kids to maybe walk half a mile, I think was what Butler reported to me as the longest distance that they're asking for kids to be able to move. And yes, I get it, that's an inconvenience for some parents, but this is a big change and much better. We anticipate there'll be some issue at the beginning with elementary school kids who are not allowed off the bus without a parent or guardian there, who typically have gotten off the bus with their middle school or high school sibling. So we'll have to work that out. The principals are ready for it. But my principals at the elementary school level could not be happier with these changes. Both EVS and CES, the principals have sat down with Connor and looked over these routes and are looking at, what it means, for like that they're good routes, they're solid, they're picking up the kids that they know that they have. The other thing that we're excited about is less crowding on buses. So we're pleased about that. We're hoping that if there are behavior issues on the middle school or the high school bus, which, is often where it starts, mostly middle school, we'll be able to identify those kids more readily and be able to discipline them. We're also hoping that one of the trickle-down effects is that fewer parents will feel that they have to drive their kids to school.
That's true.
So,
And that will help with the congestion issues in the mornings.
exactly.
And mornings especially.
You'll have better ridership for sure.
That's what we're hoping for.
That was what kept me from,
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of, Leah has reported to me that multiple parents have called her and kindergarten parents asking about buses. And she was looking for the finalization. I said, it's going to the board. So we think that more kindergarten parents will put their kids on the bus, knowing that they don't have high schoolers on the bus.
Yeah, no, that's great. It worked for a long time, but I think the time is over with that. And
Time is over.
I'm so happy that Butler has figured out a way to do this. And I'm looking even at the fine details of for example, a neighbor of mine has elementary and middle school high schoolers.
Yeah.
And so looking at this, the high schooler gets home about 4 to 6 minutes before the elementary school.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's all of them, but that'd be, if they're a tiny bit ahead, then that helps with those pickups and releasing to your older brother or sister. This is going to be great. And I also noticed the biggest thing is that there's not a kid on the bus, stuck on the bus for an hour and a half.
yeah.
And some of the rides may be longer.
Yeah,
There might be some of these, as we start to add, because this is a rough draft. And I'm imagining when word gets out that the buses are split by age level, that more people will want to ride, and so it may increase the routes. I would rather have a parent complain that their kid's on the bus for an hour than that their kid watched something inappropriate on a video from an older child. We're not going to make everybody happy. If COVID has taught me anything, is that somebody's going to be very, very angry with this change. But this is best for kids, and I will stick by this, and it is best for kids.
I think also you've had a lot of, I know from experience, some kids did not want to ride the bus because it's so crowded and there's discipline issues.
Right.
And they're like, I don't want to deal with that. Can you drive me to school?
Yeah.
Fine, that's fair, And so hopefully if it's spread out, because also you spread them out, that takes care of issues too.
Absolutely.
Just because Billy's not right in front of Susie, hitting her in the head, whatever. So.
The other thing I think that I noticed with, commend Butler on this is that they what I call first in, first off. They've done a really good job with that. It's some kids aren't getting picked up first and then getting off last.
Right.
They've done a really nice job with that too.
Yeah.
Because the routes are drastically changed.
Yeah.
They've done a really total overhaul, which they haven't done for quite a few years.
That's.
Do you think that it would be advantageous to have some sort of either, I was thinking about this with some of the new principals, to have kind of a meet and greet with the principal, but do you think that it might also be worth it to have kind of a meet and greet or open house that's really geared towards transportation beforehand, so that families can ask their questions ahead of time so they're not scrambling and...
Well, I'll see how that goes, because there are plans, I imagine that the middle school and the high school will run pretty smoothly, throwing kids on and throwing kids off.
Yeah.
The the biggest change will be at the elementary school
Yeah.
level. So I know Leah has a plan for a rollout, and I believe she will share that with Jamie, so those
Okay.
rollouts will be the same.
Okay.
But I'll talk to her about that and
Okay.
see what she thinks. We do have Friends of Mascoma, and I believe the EVS PTA have offered to do a meet and greet for Jamie
Yeah.
one evening. So we're in the planning stages on that. I think that's wonderful. But we are going to push the word out on this. There's going to be so much communication home to parents.
Yeah.
Like, we need parents to know this. We need them to know about lunches.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot to
I
do.
mean, it sounds like a transportation communication, almost like a white sheet. I mean, you're gonna have the drivers are gonna have to do a little bit different than, you know, the stop line's gonna be different. Here are things that are changing.
Right.
Let's go on.
And
And
that
IRS usually does their, like the 5th grade
Yeah.
will have their thing, so it can be mentioned there.
everywhere.
Mhm.
I will say that we are hiring right now. I think we ended the season with 9 drivers. We have 1 more that will be hired. And then looking at, we do have Mr. Schindlinger, who's a certified driver that's helped out. We have, I think Butler told me, in total 3 more drivers coming on board,
Okay.
which means that we should be able to, want to go see why the fire department's here? We should be able to get those 3 drivers in, depending on how the state runs and what the state's timelines for testing them are. It might be later than the start of school. So we'll at least have 1 new driver on, putting us at 10, hopefully having Mr. Schindlinger substitute in or find something else, just in case.
Because this is 11 routes.
This is 11 routes, yeah, which still falls in the parameters of our contract with them. But it's just about not being able to double up those buses.
Yeah.
We've been doubling up buses, and this does not allow for that to happen anymore.
Yeah,
It just doesn't.
because we're not mixing the,
Yeah.
There's no way to double
You can't do
this.
it.
Right.
It just can't be done. So
Yeah.
we do need to have a robust group of drivers, which would also mean that Connor is off a regular route
Yeah.
and can act as a substitute when
Yeah.
needed.
So I have some specifics that I have to question here.
Sure.
M10 is an IRS high school bus. And there's some errors here where it says 93 Razor Hill, 93 Orange Pond, 94 Cardigan Mountain Road, 183 Orange Road. Okay, there's only a 93 Orange Pond Road. There's no 93 Razor Hill. It was an issue last year too on that. And then you go Orange Pine Road, but it doesn't talk about coming down Tuttle Hill in Orange. It jumps over to Cardigan Mountain Road, but I believe 183 Orange Road is actually 183 Cross Road in Orange.
Okay.
And that's the one we had the issue with the young daughter that
Yeah.
used to be picked up. So now, I'm pretty sure she's not in IRS, and I can't find her on the Canaan, the CES list.
I actually do think she is.
Is she
I
at
do believe she's
River
just
this year?
at IRS, or was last year, because that was an IRS, maybe even a high school issue.
So she should be on the IRS sheet to come back home. I can't find it.
So 183 Orange Road is not.
Would it be on M4? Because I don't see it there.
So tell me again, Kathleen. Explain it to me again. I'm a little lost.
So 183 Orange Road is, if she's being picked up, she's in Orange. It's not, they're jumping all the way over to Cardigan Mountain Road. They've got that in between 93 Orange Pond Road. It's just at, skips
So
it
those
just
don't
below.
make sense to you, right? Like you're saying that those 2 stops don't align.
Right, and
Gotcha.
93 Orange Road, I know they have a high school student and a younger child getting on there.
Yeah.
So with the split, I don't see where the younger ones are being in the system. They should be like on
So
the,
you think there are younger students at 183.
Well, that's the particular one that we were talking about earlier.
So those
And
would be.
she may be at Indian River.
So, okay, I'll have CES check that to make
Okay.
sure that they're not missing a stop there, that they don't have a student. to
But
pick
then
up.
they need to change the sequence because Orange Road,
But if they're not stopping at every house and they're asking students to go at least a half a mile or up to a half a mile, that could just be the only place they're stopping around her house and she would have to go there.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Because
Right,
the
yeah.
concept of bus stops
Because
will
they
have to
aren't-
be
if the-
reintroduced.
if-
Yeah.
well, that
yeah,
was
bus
an
stop.
issue last year.
Yeah, if the plan is not to stop at every house, then we can't say that this is where every child lives. This is just where they're stopping and they need to find the closest one to their house.
So let me just draw a map for you. This bus is starting in the morning and it's coming from Grafton. And if you know where Wild Meadow Road is and Turnpike Road, you know they're up on the upper level through the woods, not on Route 4. And they come up by my house, which is at Orange Pond. I'm right at the border with Grafton and Orange. So I know that there's no 93 Razor Hill. That's an error.
Okay,
There's it. I know that the people that live at 93 Orange Pond Road in Grafton have students both ages, high school and younger. So, and this route is only for high school. Then it says it's going to go to Cardigan Mountain Road, which is all the way over to Cardigan Mountain Road, when instead, I believe they turned and they went down Crossroad to accommodate the student that's at 183.
They may not be going down Crossroads though, because she said they revamped the whole thing. Because you could just come across Orange Pond and Cardigan Mountain Road and then go, and Cardigan Mountain turns into Orange Road. It just depends on the town you're in. If you're in Orange, it's Cardigan Mountain Road. If you're in Canaan, it's Orange Road. It's the same one. It goes right past the racetrack.
Well, I'll check with her father and see what happens, because last year he was caught off guard. And
Yeah, communication will definitely have to be a big deal.
yeah. So
and
that's,
I do believe we sent a short bus out there, a smaller bus.
I think
van
that's what
out there.
happened.
So we ended up doing
Yeah.
that to help out.
Because on M7 there's stop on Turnpike at 10 Turnpike, Wild Meadow to Turnpike on M7. It looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
And I do-
64 Turnpike, Wild Meadow,
Yeah.
10 Turnpike. I do not know the road, so I can't tell you if it's in order or not. I just look for the words.
But I do know that Canaan Elementary has reviewed this, so let's hope that those younger students are no longer at CES, but they could be. I will have them double check that. Because we did run into that problem, Kathleen, you're right, with the crossroad.
right. M7 isn't coming up my way though.
So we're gonna hope that those are all high school, middle school kids.
You will find out.
We will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a reason why I had Connor go and meet with
Yeah.
all the principals. He has not yet met with the Indian River School or high school principals or admin assistants, but I specifically wanted him to go and review these
Yeah.
so looking at their rosters, right,
Mhm.
and our registered students compared to who would potentially need a bus stop,
Yeah.
you know, and the routes of the buses.
And these may change, because did they go around and did they look at the places that they are gonna stop and say, okay, this is going to be okay for a kid to walk to from down the street?
Yeah, I don't think there are a lot of those, but there are a
Okay.
few.
Because my house isn't on there, but also my kid to the neighbor's house,
Right.
you know,
Thank
so, and they can walk over there. And
Right,
so
and like the one
they
that
get off over there.
my kid, if he decided to ride on it, you know, there's not a stop at the end of our road, but he could just go up or down to catch one of the other lock havens. So
Yeah. So,
There's no
I mean, it'll be adjusted, it'll be
There'll be a
tweaked,
lot of
it'll be-
adjustments, but
Right.
anything that we can catch beforehand, like I
Yeah.
will definitely have them check this. I don't wanna run into the same problem again with the same poor parents that
Yeah.
had to deal with it last year.
Yeah, yeah. The concepts of bus stops will be important in saying, you might not have a stop right at your house.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is gonna be a big communication.
that's gonna be the biggest difference.
And people may absolutely hit, and the other thing I fear is they won't do this, I don't think, because it took so long to make this. They're not just gonna start adding in everybody. It's like, oh, stop here, stop here, stop here.
I don't think we can.
I don't
If
think
you
you
start
can.
to do that, you're gonna be at a 2-hour route.
Yeah, no, so.
And this is nice that these routes are this way.
They're actually
They're not,
pretty good.
they're the best I mean,
Yeah.
I've only been here a few years, but
Mhm.
that's how.
I wonder if it might also even be easier to recruit drivers,
Mhm.
Oh,
just and to get them and retain drivers with that kind of split. Because if you go in knowing that like either this is a middle school, high school route, or this is an elementary route, like there are different issues for
Mhm.
kind of those.
Absolutely. Like, I love the middle school, high school kids, right? Like,
Yeah.
kind of like teachers.
Yeah.
You either like those older kids or you
Yeah.
like those younger
Yeah.
kids, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you want them crying and upset, or, I miss my mom, or you're like, you want them to tell you where to go and how to get there. Like, right? So this way you get to choose which one of those things you like best.
Yeah.
No, this is great.
But yes, I do, you will all approve these, but I do imagine there will be changes, and I appreciate, Kathleen, your input here, so that we can try to fix things before they become a huge issue.
I do have a question on one of them is bus M4, middle school, high school for Enfield. It's not 2 pages, but it doesn't look like they ever get to school.
Well, why do they need to get to school?
It just ends at White House Road, and then the drop off has several more. I think just the last 4 lines of this spreadsheet got cut off. Last 4 or
Okay.
5 lines.
Yeah, because White House Road is a long ways away from school.
Yeah. South Road, Mud Road, 63 South, South and Smith. Yeah, those are all missing from the reverse.
It
So,
doesn't have
yeah.
the last times or approximate students.
Yeah, it does look like they lost some
That's
pieces.
I would just guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. That one is missing the entire bottom of the spreadsheet. So.
This is one of the biggest or longest routes.
Yeah, that's what caught
an
my eye. I
hour
was
and a
like,
half with
how
that.
long? Yeah, well,
An
yeah,
hour,
if they
5
just
minutes.
don't get to school until
And they don't even get to school.
I know, just drive around all day.
Just driving
Maybe
around
out in the woods.
till 3 o'clock, and then we'll bring you at 3:08 back to South Road and Smith Road.
Good thing we're bringing them lunch.
That's right. That's right. And will this get some of the kids I see that are maybe walking to the high school from South Road? Maybe I don't know.
That I don't
That I
know.
don't.
There's a lot of those
That's-
kids that it concerns me. Those kids.
That concerns me a lot.
That
seeing those
needs a
kids.
sidewalk.
If you drive here between 7:30 and 8, you'll see I don't know at least 6 to 8, maybe
Really?
10 kids who are walking. From
They
South
walk
Road.
on the curb, along the side of the road there.
They what?
They
Yeah,
just-
walk along the curb. Yeah.
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 And
That
it's
needs a
sometimes
In
they're
the
just kind of on the
wintertime,
vet side and the
real
snow's not
concert.
cleared and
Yeah.
we'll have to deal with that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
All right. Anything else on the bus routes? 'Cause they look. I commend Butler Bus. Thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah.
And we know there'll be changes, and we
Yeah.
know people will be upset,
Yeah.
and I just know that, but I do believe it's best for us to split kids up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the time's come. So.
But there's always been an issue on Route 4 just before you get into Canaan, where you're trying to get to work and you're behind the bus and they're making 4 stops, the kids are 20 feet apart.
Yep. Yep.
And I was told it was because there were court orders that the students couldn't be standing with the other students.
Oh dear.
That's possible.
And I think it's more of the parents' issue than the student, and then certainly not a school issue when they're standing 20 feet apart and but riding the same bus.
Yeah. As long as there's a safe shoulder to walk on.
Sounds like shenanigans.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
children
Sounds
play
like
better in the
shenanigans.
sandbox.
Mhm.
You're right.
All right. So without further ado, unless anyone else has anything else, did we make a motion on these?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so I'll entertain a motion. To approve.
Make a motion that we approve as presented the bus routes for 2022, 2023.
A second.
All right, cool. All right, anything else on this? All those in favor of the bus routes as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right. This is great. You can ride the bus. Hear that? You can ride the bus. Probably scowling at the screen right now.
Right.
All right, what do we have next
Kudos to
here?
the bus drivers. I would never want that job.
I know.
Agenda items for next meeting, which will not be the second one in second Tuesday in August. We're skipping that one, right?
Correct.
And yeah, because that's why we had bus routes tonight, but I like doing bus routes this early.
Yeah.
I'm like beyond excited for that.
Instead of the day before it starts.
So there's no August 3rd meeting?
No, or no, the following week, the 10th.
10th.
No 10th. I will be out of town, other people will be out of town, so, and we pushed a lot of business up earlier in the summer, so. Cool, so we'll have committee reports, school readiness report, we have finance and facilities next week, right?
Yes.
I believe we do.
Alright, I'll attend, I'll plan on attending that, hope. So, even if it's
okay.
just me and you, then
Okay.
Bruce doesn't have to worry about it.
I'll be
Right.
I did want to ask Kathleen, what, I need to change the EIC meeting from the third Thursday of the month, because I have a work commitment specifically to attend someone else's meeting on the third Thursday of the month. I was wondering what other days work for you, if another day is better, whether it's the second Thursday, the first Thursday, the last, the fourth, whatever, doesn't have to be Thursday.
I'm gonna have to not commit to anything right now, I need to look at the calendar and the
Okay.
schedule. I think we alternate some Thursdays with,
Communication.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that.
I
That's
mean,
the first.
oh yeah, I was gonna say, because you're on,
Exactly.
we could just switch,
Yeah.
but you
That
are
would
allowed
have to
as
do,
well.
yeah.
right?
Um,
So I'm flexible.
okay,
Yeah.
is another night?
We might be looking at another night.
Okay, I don't want, I mean, just one other night a month, but
Yeah, no, we might be just looking at another night.
Wednesday is okay with you?
I don't know, I'm gonna look.
All right, why don't you look and we'll
I'll look.
talk and we'll post it before that week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So the meeting for EIC that Thursday, the 18th, I think it is. Whatever it is, we will hold off on that. So.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll be in touch.
And we do have a communications meeting that's scheduled for next week.
Yeah.
I am going, we decided to go to Maine next week.
Okay.
So we can either, I do have Wi-Fi, so if we want to meet and keep that date, that's fine. If I can join by Google Meet,
Well, that's up to you, we can look at it.
or we can reschedule, and you're going to be gone the
The
following
following
week.
week, yeah.
So that would be the third week.
The third week in August.
Yeah. So you can look around and see what else. It looks like EIC is already on that for that Thursday.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
That's
get
the
out.
one Tim.
That's the one you're trying to
Yeah.
get. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So.
Yep. Someone else's planning board meets the third Thursday of every month. And so for my job, I have to attend, like, we have contracts with certain planning boards, so I got that one. Unfortunately. All right, we'll do that. Yeah, it'll be right before school starts, so it'll be the day after staff gets back, right?
Yep.
Awesome, cool. And so we have that. Public comment, it's time to go. I did notice in the public comment from last week, Mr. Kiley had asked about kids earning college credits, and thank you for answering his question about dual enrollment.
Yeah.
I do want to know that we are getting kids college credits, and best we can. But yeah, more dual enrollment. I love having more
Yes.
fans of dual enrollment, so
Yeah.
more.
Yep.
Cool. Any other public comment from anybody else? All right, and then we have non-public. Oh, yeah, personnel,
Yep.
resignations, nominations.
You do have a green sheet with some resignations and some nominations there.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the nominations and resignations as presented.
I'll second.
All right. Discussion. None of these were ones that we did not know about,
That's correct.
so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we're getting a third student worker?
We are.
Awesome.
That's good.
I did note in your report, Rob, that student workers have been a very good help, very big help.
Yes, they have.
Yes. Cool. All right. Hey, if they want to learn classes in facility management. It's
All
it's-
four.
Yeah, there we go. There you go. All right. All those in favor of accepting the nominations and resignations as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right. Now we have non-public for in accordance with 91A 32B. Right?
Correct.
Anything else?
Hiring.
Hiring. All right. Entertain a motion to go non-public.
Make a motion to go into non-public.
Go into non-public. You can't.
I'm already going
Sit
already going out of
it. All right, Danielle
Second.
and
Yes.
Kathleen. Okay. Tim Josephson. Yes. Danielle.
Yes.
And Kathleen.
Yes.
Hope.
Yeah.
All right, we are in non-public.